Hello, welcome to episode 20 of Korean Grammar Breakdown. Please don't step on the cushions. Vocabulary, bangsuk, noun, cushion, topic contrast marker, bal, foot, uro, instrumental particle. Before I introduce this as just ro, but this is the full form. Bapda, bapda, action verb, step, tread, you notice the pronunciation there. Jimalda is an auxiliary verb sequence for prohibition. G is a kind of just a connector, and malda means do not. This is a irregular verb we'll talk about in a second here. And that's our base sentence. Now, for such a simple statement, there's a lot to talk about. Now, this is straight from a sign in a Buddhist temple here. Okay, this is not one that I whipped up myself. So, first of all, this topic contrast, this is really the object of the verb. Step on what? Step on the cushion. Okay. Remember, I said before, in the case of like this, you don't use the object marker, you replace it with the topic marker. So this could be seen as the object of the sentence, or you could just look at it as the topic. Talking about what? Talking about cushions. Cushions, don't step on them, is really what this says. It's not really very contrastive in this situation, that's for sure. Now, the instrumental particle here, and there's a rule here about this, is attached to the noun foot. So using, in this case, using what? Using your foot. The instrument being your foot here. Now remember, I mentioned instrumental particle has at least 6 or 7 major usages, and if not more, and this is one of them. When you're using something to do an action, you're using your foot, you're attaching that. Here's the rule here. Use ro following any vowel or ending noun, and uro for all other consonant endings. So here we use ro, creating balo. There's a pronunciation change going on too, where the two r's following each other turns into a very close to an L sound, balo, in English. Now, okay, so when this ending, G malda, for prohibition, is almost always used at the end of a sentence, and you're making basically a command. You're saying, do not do whatever it is. Do not do this. And, you could use you can put this into any of the styles. In the temple, it was maseo, which is the honorific place style. And, you don't know who's reading your sign, right? So you definitely want to have honor, and you want to be polite. You could use ma shipshio, which would be the honorific formal style. But you wouldn't want to go any lower. You wouldn't use just, ma-yo, because, you don't know who's reading it. It could be someone very important. Buddhist monks are considered, most Korean people can see as Buddhist monks as being, worthy of a lot of honor themselves. Even Korean Christians mostly don't have anything bad to say about Buddhist monks. They have a lot of respect. So anyway, in that kind of scenario. So let's look at what goes on here. So the da drops. We had Gmal. And here the da drops and the character drops. You're adding this ending, useyo. And I presented it before as just seyo. But really it's useyo, or the is optional. And if you don't remember seyo, the full breakdown is in episode 1, okay? But anyway, it's honorific polite ending. And that leaves us with bangsukun, balo, babji maseyo. Okay? So, what else here? And that's not balpda, it's bapda, it's babji, okay? So that, again, like with makda before, this ul sound isn't pronounced in most cases. Now, below here is the irregular rules. Now, this affects every verb that has a root ending in r, okay? And this is the rule. You should probably write this down or print it out. And there a lot of what it talks about there we haven't even talked about yet. You may not fully understand all of that. These examples, and here's one with useyo here. Okay. And there's sheepsho I just talked about. So if this did say sheepsho, it would be ma sheepsho. Okay. And if it just said, well, anyway. And this is a cut and paste from my book here. Another, well, I want to say it's a bonus, but you know. Anyway, I guarantee the accuracy of this anyway, and it's very the full rule. That's the whole rule. Okay, and one more point here is usually when you're making a prohibition, usually you're going to use maseo or mashipshio, unless you're talking to someone that's close to you, and usually it's it's a pretty kind of heavy thing to do. You're saying it's a command pretty much. Now, occasionally with friends or whatever, you might say just, for example, gajima, which would be don't go in the intimate style. Or hajima, just don't do that. Or hajima yo, don't do that in the polite style. So almost always this word drops. So it's almost always going to be jima, some blah 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 jima, blah blah blah. Or just jima in the intimate style. So I think that's it here. So if you like my channel, subscribe and take it easy. Bye.